remember the first time I heard the BSO, because I had never heard the Boston Symphony except on records before. And I was absolutely blown away because it was just immediately so desirable to sit there and listen and watch these people play with that kind of wonderful taste and good technique and all this. It's just, I still marvel at it, even though I know I was a part of it, but it still blows my mind to see it and hear it. I auditioned 4 times. At every audition, I was always the runner-up. And even to a couple friends of mine, which hurt even more. But Alfred Krips was always there encouraging me and saying, don't give up, don't give up. And so I think that that's the influence and the route that I had to get to the BSO. I never wanted to be in any other orchestra beyond that, beyond the BSO, although I was, after 3 auditions, I was somewhat discouraged and decided I would try someplace else. So I had auditions lined up in Cleveland, Philadelphia, and New York. But the BSO audition came up first, and fortunately it worked out. I was coming from Detroit in a snowstorm. It was a blizzard that covered the whole eastern half of this country. And I was trying to fly into Boston, and the flight got diverted to Philadelphia. And so that of course took up a huge amount of time for travel time, because I allowed just enough to get here. And so I got on the train, and the train was very slow. It stopped in New York, and then it wandered its way up, and it would stop while they cleared the tracks and that kind of thing. So I finally got here, and I was absolutely exhausted, and I was able to go to my room just for like 2 hours or something like that, because I had been up all night in travel. And so I decided, well, what the heck, I'm going to do this anyhow. So, and I made I guess a superhuman effort, and it worked. So, but it was a trial, and I wouldn't like to do that again. Eric Lansdorf, he hired me, and he was very, very gracious and nice to me. I thought he was a wonderful, precise conductor. A little overly stern, but not cruel. But he really knew how to get things done. I remember one event on a tour. I don't remember where it was. We were somewhere, and between the bus and the concert in the evening, and we were all in the same hotel, and we all went to the dining room for dinner, and Mr. Lansdorf was sitting there, and no one went to sit with him, which was an indication of how people felt about him. I don't think we were afraid of him or disliked him, but it was just a barrier there. He was just that way, but a great conductor in his way. Steinberg was only with us for 3 years, I think. I always felt that he was truly a great musician. His technique was hard to follow, sometimes even laughable, but we all enjoyed him very much, and he had a wonderful sense of humor. And I remember one time we were playing something, I don't remember what it was, we were rehearsing something, and it was fairly difficult. And he tried it several times, and finally he put his hands down and he said, "Gentlemen, that sounds like it, but that's not it." And I will remember that forever. It's a really great comment. Seiji I knew because I had met him in Japan in my early days with the BSO on that exchange. And so I had somewhat of a friendship with him. I thought he was, of course, very colorful, and especially to an audience, very colorful. his motions were sometimes confusing, but I thought really his interpretations of Mahler were excellent. How he was able to memorize all those scores, I really have no idea. But it seemed as though, I mean, he actually told me, or told some people at times, that he had to rememorize every time a piece came up, because he put it in his mind and it came out like he wanted it to, and then it was gone. So he had to reestablish that every time. So it's an interesting way. I've never experienced anybody else like that. Sato, as a young boy, showed an interest in playing an instrument, but rock music was coming in at that time, and so he was also interested in that, as kids are now too. I have a grandson who's playing classical bass, but he is in a rock band, so that's the way it goes. Anyhow, Sato, we started Sato at about age 7 or 8, something like that, in Detroit, and he did very well. And then we came, and when he was 10 years old, we came to Boston, and he began to see other things, other possibilities for music and entertainment and so on. And so he really resisted practicing, which a lot of kids do. And so he was very interested in rock music, and I told him he could have a rehearsal space in our basement for his rock band, which was very noisy, but it was there. And then I told him that as long as he went to his lessons with Steve Gaber, who was a member of the BSO at the time, and practiced, and I got good reports from Steve, I would continue to let him have that basement thing, and I would buy all the equipment that he would need. So he got a lot of equipment, and he did keep going. He would go in his room, pull down the shades, and close the door, and he didn't want his friends to see him or hear him practice. And so finally, he graduated from high school, and he went to New England Conservatory. He was still into rock music. My wife came across an opening in the San Antonio Symphony and arranged for him to audition, sort of against his will, but not really. And so he went down there, and he was assistant principal cello in San Antonio Symphony for, I think, 3 or 4 years. And then an opening came up in the BSO. And he called me one night and he said, "Dad, how would you feel if I was in the same orchestra you are?" And I said, "It's fine with me, just do it well, you know." So he came and he auditioned, and he's been in something like 30 years now. And he's done very well here. He's part of a string quartet called the Hawthorne Quartet, and they play music of the Holocaust, and they have been functioning for nearly 20 years. So I'm very pleased with him. In hearing the orchestra just last week, I was amazed at the incredible improvement in the brass sound. And it's not to be critical of my friends that were in the brass section before, but it is wonderful to hear that a brass section, you know, there are different personalities with different instruments, and, you know, and brass players tend to be less sensitive to string players, and string players the opposite. So it seems as though now we've gotten some people here that really are interested in blending in and really making a total that's really not just brass and strings, but it's like an organ almost. Boston Symphony generally has been very supportive and helpful to me as conductor of the Newton Symphony, which is now defunct. It has gone out, and I am now the conductor of the New Philharmonia of Massachusetts. I've had concertmasters from the BSO section over the years, several different people, and the markings and bowings that you need to produce a worthwhile concert with the symphony orchestra, I was able to get from the library here, which is extremely helpful, you know. And so the BSO has been very supportive of my work in the community orchestras over the years. Beyond that, I love to learn to conduct new music and newer music for me. I mean, not necessarily contemporary music, but music that I haven't conducted before. And I enjoy dealing with people who really want to do it. These people come Sunday nights, which is a bad night when you got to go to work on Monday morning. And they come very faithfully, and they do it just because they want to. And I really admire that.